Section 1. The beginning. When I think back to the start of our relationship, I can't help but smile, even though those memories now carry a bittersweet weight. He wasn't just my boyfriend. He was my best friend, my safe place, and the one person who seemed to understand me without words. We met in the most ordinary way, through mutual friends at a small gathering. But what stood out wasn't the setting, it was the way he made me feel. There was this warmth in his smile, this comfort in his presence, that made me want to keep talking to him, even when the night had already stretched too long. In the weeks that followed, we grew closer. Our conversations stretched from morning texts to late-night calls. He had this way of making the simplest things feel magical, like a walk in the park, a shared ice cream, or just sitting together in silence. For me, those moments weren't small. They were proof that love didn't need grand gestures. It was in the little things, the unspoken care, the constant reassurance that I wasn't alone. He wasn't perfect, of course. No one is. But in my eyes, his imperfections were part of what made him real. He wasn't overly romantic, but he was consistent. He didn't always say the words I wanted to hear, but his actions spoke louder. Like when he'd remember my favorite snack after a long day, or when he'd wait for me even if I was running terribly late. He made me feel chosen every single day, and I loved that about him. For a long time, our world felt untouchable. We made plans, whispered dreams about the future, and promised to hold on no matter what. I truly believed him when he said we could face anything together. And maybe, in those early days, I believed in us more than I believed in myself. But somewhere along the way, cracks began to form, small, almost invisible at first. He became busier with work, and I tried to be understanding. Yet there were evenings when I waited for his call, only to fall asleep with my phone in my hand. I told myself it was normal, that every relationship has phases. Still, a quiet loneliness began to creep in, a shadow I didn't want to admit was growing inside me. I never doubted his love, but I sometimes doubted if I was enough. Insecurity has a way of whispering things into your ear, things that aren't true, but that you start to believe. Maybe he deserved someone prettier. Maybe he'd eventually get tired of me. Maybe one day, I wouldn't be his first choice anymore. It was during one of those low points that I met someone new. It wasn't planned, and it wasn't even special. Just a casual introduction through a mutual friend online. At first, it meant nothing, just small talk, light jokes, and harmless messages. But deep inside, I knew I was stepping onto dangerous ground. Looking back, that was the moment when everything started to change, even if I couldn't see it yet. Section 2. The lie. At first, it really was nothing more than casual conversation. Just a few texts here and there, a way to distract myself when I felt lonely. I told myself it was harmless. After all, people chat with new friends all the time. But deep down, I knew there was something different about the attention I was receiving. It was flattering. It filled the small gaps that had started to appear in my relationship. And instead of ignoring it, I welcomed it. The more we talked, the more it became a habit. A notification from him would bring a smile, and soon I found myself waiting for his messages, sometimes even more eagerly than my boyfriend's. It wasn't that I loved my boyfriend any less. It was just different. Like my heart had found an easy escape whenever it felt restless. But escape always comes with a cost. My boyfriend started noticing changes. I was distracted, constantly on my phone, sometimes smiling at texts I couldn't explain. When we were together, my mind wasn't fully there anymore. He'd ask simple questions. Who are you texting? And I'd brush it off with a quick, just a friend. That was the first lie. Small, effortless, but heavy enough to leave a mark on my conscience. One evening, he looked at me with eyes I'll never forget, gentle, yet suspicious. He asked quietly, "Are you hiding something from me?" My heart stopped. For a moment, I wanted to tell him everything, to admit that I had been careless, that I had crossed a line I shouldn't have. But fear took over. Fear of hurting him. Fear of losing him. And most of all, fear of facing the truth about what I was doing. So I lied. I forced a smile and said, "Of course not. You're my everything. I'd never hide anything from you." The words tasted bitter even as they left my mouth. He smiled back, relieved, but I could feel the guilt tightening its grip on me. That lie should have been a wake-up call, but instead it became the foundation for more. I kept up the act, answering my messages in secret, erasing notifications, making excuses when I seemed distant. Each time I looked into my boyfriend's trusting eyes, a wave of guilt washed over me, but I buried it with another smile, another reassurance, another lie. And yet, no matter how hard I tried to convince myself it wasn't serious, the truth haunted me. I wasn't just talking to someone else, I was betraying the person who loved me most. What started as harmless fun had become a dangerous secret. I remember lying awake at night, staring at the ceiling, asking myself why I couldn't stop. I told myself I'd end it tomorrow, that I'd delete the messages, that I'd confess. But tomorrow kept slipping away, and the web of lies only grew tighter. Looking back, I realized the moment I lied to his face was the moment I lost him, even if it took time for the truth to come out. Section 3. The Truth Revealed. Secrets have a way of slipping through the cracks, no matter how tightly you try to seal them. I thought I was careful. I thought I could balance both worlds, the love I had with my boyfriend and the attention I secretly craved from someone else. But lies are fragile. They don't last forever. It happened on a quiet evening, one that should have been just another ordinary night. We were sitting together, and I noticed he was strangely silent. His usual warmth felt distant. Then, without warning, he handed me his phone. My stomach dropped. On the screen were screenshots, my messages, the words I thought I had hidden so well. Every smiley face, every playful comment, every secret conversation laid bare in front of him. I froze. My mouth went dry. In that moment, I couldn't even breathe. His eyes weren't angry yet, just broken. That made it worse. Anger I could have argued with. But pain, there was no defense against that. "Why?" he asked. Just one word, but it shattered me completely. I tried to speak. I stumbled over explanations. It didn't mean anything. I was lonely. I never stopped loving you. The words tumbled out in desperation, but they sounded empty even to me. I begged him to understand that it was just a mistake, that my heart still belonged to him. But he shook his head, tears filling his eyes. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have lied." That sentence echoed in my mind like a curse. He was right. There was no excuse, no justification strong enough to erase what I had done. The room filled with silence, broken only by my sobs. I reached for his hand, but he pulled away. His face was a mixture of sadness and disbelief, like he didn't even recognize the person sitting in front of him. And maybe, in that moment, I wasn't the person he thought I was. I pleaded. I promised I would cut all contact, that I would never betray him again. I promised I would do anything to earn back his trust. But promises felt meaningless against the reality of what I had destroyed. He stood up slowly, as if the weight of everything had drained the strength from his body. He looked at me one last time, his voice trembling. "You didn't just lie. You broke us." And then he walked away. No shouting. No slamming doors. Just the sound of his footsteps fading, leaving behind a silence heavier than any fight could ever be. I sat there for hours, surrounded by the emptiness I had created. The phone in my hand felt like poison, every message a reminder of the choices that led me here. I kept replaying his words in my head, each time cutting deeper. "If you loved me, you wouldn't have lied." That night, I lost more than just my boyfriend. I lost my best friend, my safe place, my future. All because of one lie I thought I could control. Section 4. Reflection and Lesson. The days after he left felt unreal, like I was living inside a dream I couldn't wake up from. Everywhere I went, I carried the weight of silence. His absence was louder than any fight, more painful than any harsh word he could have thrown at me. I had imagined many versions of our future together, but I had never imagined a world without him in it. And now, that was the only version left. I kept scrolling through our old pictures, rereading our conversations, clinging to pieces of a love I had destroyed with my own hands. It was almost unbearable to see how happy we once were, how genuine our smiles looked, how full of hope our words sounded. The girl in those pictures didn't seem like me anymore. She was someone innocent, someone who believed in love without fear, someone who hadn't yet learned how fragile trust could be. I thought about the lie over and over again. At the time, it had felt so small, so necessary to keep the peace. But looking back, I realized that was the exact moment everything fell apart. A lie doesn't just protect you, it eats away at you. It builds walls where there should have been honesty, and it turns love into something hollow. I thought I was sparing him pain, but in reality, I was only delaying it, making the eventual heartbreak even deeper. There were nights when I wanted to reach out to him, to apologize once more, to beg for another chance. But then I remembered the look in his eyes, the hurt, the betrayal, and I knew some wounds don't heal with words. Trust, once broken, doesn't return the same way. You can patch it, you can cover it, but the cracks remain, reminding you of what once was and what can never be again. In losing him, I learned a lesson I wish I didn't have to learn the hard way. Love isn't just about the big promises or the sweet words. It's about the daily choice to be honest, even when it's uncomfortable. It's about choosing loyalty, even when temptation whispers in your ear. It's about remembering that trust is the foundation of everything, and without it, even the strongest relationship will crumble. I tell myself now that I wasn't a bad person, just a weak one. But weakness, in moments like these, is enough to ruin something beautiful. And no matter how much I regret it, I can't go back and rewrite the past. All I can do is carry the lesson forward. Never take trust for granted, never treat lies as harmless, and never assume love is unbreakable. Because sometimes, one mistake, one secret, one lie is enough to destroy years of happiness. And so, I live with the memory of him, and with the knowledge that I lost the love of my life, not because he stopped loving me, but because I betrayed the love he gave me. That truth will always stay with me.